Incognito, you got to steadily change it. Orphan.
Are you on the land?
On the way. He's just trying to
On the
keep
land.
his anonymity.
I miss this.
I don't think he's from Montana.
On the way. Billy Bob.
William Esquire. Sure. He got the blue email too, didn't he?
It is
Like
9
Blue
o'clock
Jays.
and it's the time on our schedule for our weekly business meeting. If you'll stand with me, Bob, would you mind opening us?
I always think for this day, but thank you for welcome to Frederick County Business Board, Father.
All right, thank you, Bob. Maybe follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All righty. Steve, it looks like you've got the pleasure here.
All righty. Mr. Chairman, I move to amend the agenda by adding recreation item number 1. Action item, discussion decision regarding Resource Advisory Committee grant funds acceptance, Gold Hill overflow parking. This item is being added due to a clerical error that left it off the agenda for this week. And remove solid waste item number 1, action item, discussion decision regarding Midway Solid Waste Collection Site Project. Bid award $486,226.23.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Go ahead, Steve.
All right. I move to adopt the order of agenda as presented,
Is amended.
as amended.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, actually, you know what? Let me back up. No, let's leave it at that. We'll do it. Okay, never mind. Public comment. Maureen, you're the only one signed up.
Maureen Patterson for the record. I just wanted to sound a warning to all parents who are utilizing the West Bonner County School District and Lake Pend Oreille school system. I recently went to a school board meeting and found out that they are using what's called Professional Learning Center, PLCs. Both school districts, and the person that directs that is Knold, and he is the author also of Common Core in mathematics K-5, which I read about 7 years ago. And we all know that Common Core is a failure and that the school districts are denouncing Common Core, but they are upholding this PLCs, Professional Learning Centers. They say it's just a way of targeting a student's weaknesses and creating goals and meeting those goals. It sounds wonderful. That author had a whole chapter on how the environment of your classroom needs to have social justice and equity needs to be shown. I had a principal, when I talked about this at the last school board meeting, say, Knold has a really soft heart for kids, and the PLCs seem to be working really well. What is your problem with equity? Equity is a word that sounds like equality. Equality is equality of opportunity, equal opportunity for all people. Equity is equal outcomes. And the problem with that is that and a good example is West Bonner County School District in 2004 had 600,000 appropriated for gifted and talented. Last year, they had $1,000 appropriated for gifted and talented. We are teaching to the lowest common denominator in order to fulfill this equity. So I'm just sounding a word of warning to parents, take them out. Homeschool them. I know that your schedule is such that you don't know what you're going to do without this 8-hour babysitter, but it's very important for the survival of the freedoms in our country. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Maureen. Anyone else wish to speak?
Kevin Moore for the record. And so I appreciate what Maureen just threw out there. And there's a lot there. Equity and equality. And she used the word common good. And so we should hopefully be discerning as Christians and adults of the term common, because we have a high theological entity in the world that is all about trying to bring a common sense, or I shouldn't have said it that way, because that gives it too much credence to a positive sense. He's trying to bring a commonality between all religions and all kinds of political and economic cohesiveness for the common good. And as a sister was talking about teaching and the school curriculums, a while back I heard a Protestant minister on Moody Radio talking about having Bibles or prayer in school. And he says, well, as a Christian, he doesn't have a problem with a separation because he believes in a separation of church and state. And so I think, as Maureen just said there, parents, if you're teaching your children at home, then they're going to get the indoctrination that you want them to have. And then hopefully they can go out in the world and influence their peer group to have better understanding of what we call Christian principles. So I'm going to leave that like that. But Mr. Bradshaw, he chastised me last week, or wrong word. He concerned me about how I understood church and state. And so one of the easier ways to go is to just go on Wikipedia. And there's a pretty good, interesting common sense approach from Wikipedia about establishment clause and the numerous categories that make up what is commonly called separation of church and state.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I'd like to.
Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move to approve.
Oh, wait a minute, hang on a second, We do have Jim.
Okay.
Jim, do you want to go ahead and say something?
Yes, please. I just wanted to say that Common
Speak up,
Core
Jim,
is.
we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better, but try to get closer to your microphone if you would.
Okay, hold on one moment. All right. Is this better?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
better.
Okay. I just wanted to state that Common Core is a teaching standard, not a curriculum. And also that teachers are more than just babysitters. And that's a little insulting. So just wanted to say that teachers do a great job and we should be a little more respectful towards them. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Okay, anyone else? Seeing none, let's go ahead and move on. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No problem. Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Question and comment. I got a question to start with. Did the sheriff run any of these three Tahoes by anybody?
They're
auditing yesterday,
He did?
and they funded.
Okay.
They're in the budget.
Yeah, I know they're in the budget. I
Yeah,
just
I
question why we
understand.
need 3 new trucks every year,
Or 4.
or 4, yeah. Okay, now, Doug.
So what are they?
So one of them is 3 new Chevy Tahoes for the sheriff at $116,370 and an AED purchase with BNSF. And I'm trying to figure out what that.
The BNSF funded it through grants and,
This is our match.
no, that's
So they
the
switched,
total
it
price.
wasn't, so originally it wasn't an AED.
Okay.
And they funded something else with that grant.
Right,
They
that-
got a letter from
Pulse
BNSF
Point.
saying that they could change what they were purchasing,
Right.
so.
Okay, yeah. it's Pulse
We
Point
couldn't
thing.
get the pulse point thing done.
Right.
I think I know
Thank you,
why.
Burlington Northern.
Okay. Go ahead, Doug.
That leaves EMS and those Tahoes, was that the price for all 4 of them?
All
or
3
is
of
that
them.
Each,
3 of them.
3 of them.
The price per each is,
That's total.
price per each is about 38,790. Let's see, MSRP is 48,000. There's a $10,000 discount, 38,700, yes, 38,790 each.
The EMS was,
The what?
EMS.
10
EMS was-
AEDs, which are the shock things, right? That are stationed around the county. Through a grant fund,
Jump
through
starter.
BNS.
Yeah, BNSF gave us.
BNSF.
Thank
Go ahead, Maureen.
Going to add this to the
every year?
every year. 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I think it used to be 4. I think it's down to 3. It's
Seems
the only
like-
way to keep from ending up with all a bunch of old junk.
Kevin, would you like to speak?
For a second,
Okay.
Kevin Moore for the record, and I wasn't going to, but I'm glad that somebody threw out the term AED because I seen an article in a newspaper the other day. I think it was Coeur d'Alene-ish, whatever. Some gentleman, pardon?
Coeur d'Alene-ish? Go ahead.
The area around Coeur d'Alene.
Okay.
I like it.
There was a school, there was a gentleman, I don't remember his name off the article, that he was a janitor in a school down there and he was giving a young class some instrumental instruction and he had a heart attack.
Mm.
And so luckily the teacher that was there of the class, she was schooled in CPR, but she knew that if they get to the nurse's station, they had a AED.
Very
So-
good.
And so the reason I'm bringing this up, being as I think you said we're purchasing some of these.
10 of them.
Oh, thank you. And so that's that was my question is, how much are these out there in the community? How much are we steadily bringing them into up to speed?
If you need it, you'll be glad they had it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where they're going to be placed yet. We were trying to work on this other program called Pulse Point, which hooked up with 911 so that if there was emergency, that it would find any first responder, whether they're on duty or off duty, and it would also locate where these AEDs are so they could respond quicker. But there was an issue with the Pulse Point program integrating with our 911 program, and I'm not sure what the outcome was on that.
So if we're purchasing 10 of them, can us citizens rely that some of these are already out in all the fire stations and such now?
Oh,
the-
yeah. they're
Yeah,
out
the
there.
key was to. put
There's
them
one
in-
right around the corner.
Yeah, the key was to start putting them in businesses like Walmart, things like that, North 40.
Right.
Why are we gonna put them in tax collector's
That's where they need them, yeah.
office?
Any
Thanks,
other question-
Mike.
Any other question or comment?
Okay, get the hook.
Yeah, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Okay, let's move along to solid waste.
Okay.
Morning, Commissioners. Bob Howard for the record. So the USDA is offering a grant for a community compost and food waste reduction project. Solid Waste would like to apply for this grant. The grant is between $45,000 and $90,000 in funds. Bonner County would match 25% of funds with in-kind services. Grant would be used for composting program in Bonner County. This would reduce the amount of waste going into the landfill, therefore reducing the cost of transportation and disposal. It would also generate income from selling the compost to the public. We're proposing this would be a pilot project to include restaurants, grocery stores in the Sandpoint area and from Schweitzer Mountain Resort. And with if you have any questions, Kevin Fagan with Resource Synergy is on the line to answer any questions. Their company is the one that brought this to us during our Solid Waste Advisory Committee meeting.
Yeah, and if I can chime in, we heard about this at the Solid Waste Advisory Committee last week. I think it was last week. Looks like a good plan. It's a net zero outlay for the county. In fact, we may actually make a little bit of money on it, selling the compost. So, and it reduces the cost because we're having to haul this stuff. So food waste is a lot heavier than a lot of other wastes, and we get charged by the ton to haul it out. So financially, it's a good economic decision. But
Do you want-
Patterson, for the record, did I understand it's a 25% match?
In-kind match, correct?
in-kind match.
You want a motion?
It'll be,
in
yeah,
kind?
In-kind, yes.
Okay.
You want a
it's our favorite
motion?
kind. the in-kind.
I'm understanding better.
Okay.
You want a motion before we?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move that the county apply for the USDA Community Compost and Food Waste Reduction Grant.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion, a second now. Question, comment? Actually, Kevin was up first.
Kevin Moore for the record. And so you use the term pilot. So this means this is the first that this is coming in that we're trying to initiate this.
Yes.
It'll reduce the amount of waste that we haul out, and also we'll be able to create compost that we can sell.
Maureen Patterson for the record. So I guess my question is to Kevin. I'm just wondering how much research was done on this.
Virtually none. We just kind of wing it. We have a big wheel, we spin it. No, there's a great deal of research. Kevin, if you want to go ahead and respond.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've done a significant amount of both economic and kind of just general research to see how much inputs we're going to get from.
Kevin, can you speak up a little bit more or get closer to your mic?
Yeah. Is this better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, the commissioners are pretty old and we're getting hard of hearing.
Sorry about that. Short answer, a significant amount. We project that this will not only eliminate a significant amount of food waste, but also save the county money in hauling its food across a few counties into Washington, as well as selling its compost. And ideally, this pilot project is successful and economically feasible for the first 2 years, and it can continue to make the county money after that.
Yeah, so what will happen is the grant will help us get the initial investment in infrastructure in. There's a couple of different digesters we can use, we can look at. But this is a really nice self-perpetuating deal that'll save us money both going out and make us money on the back end. So there's two different ones. There's one that's a fully contained, it looks like a shipping container. It's got some vents and different things to it. And the other one is a big bag, big huge bag. This is something that we're not reinventing the wheel here. And Kevin did a great deal of research and came up with the numbers.
Yeah, the current one that we have right now is it looks pretty perfect for the county and its needs. So we're excited about that.
And we've got willing participants like with Schweitzer. Schweitzer was looking into this themselves, but it made more sense for us to take it. And then we would start tapping, because the grocery stores throw away a lot of food waste every year. And these digesters, the way they work, typically in compost, you don't put meat in there. You can actually put meat in there as well. You can eat this compost once. Not that I would. But.
So this compost might have value as pig feed also.
No, it would have value as garden compost. Garden compost right now to buy it at a garden shop. You might be able to feed it to pigs. Pigs will eat anything. So
Quality compost right now is selling for about $85 a ton.
Thank you.
Kevin,
Good more for the record. So
Mike, Kevin, please. Thank you.
So if we call this a pilot project, is this a pilot project for us? Is this similar scenarios been going on in other places in the United States?
Yes.
And so being it's a pilot project for us, is this grant money coming from state resources or federal resources or both? Or?
USDA, federal.
Fed.
And by the way, there are no pilots harmed in this process. So.
No harm. Okay.
No pilot license required.
Yeah, you don't need a pilot's license.
Well, being you threw that out there or whatever, in Oregon, they're just passing a law to where when people die, that you can compost them. That's on the news.
Great plan.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Have you signed up yet, Kevin? Okay, any other question or
Weird
comment?
me
Go
out.
ahead.
Real quick, just introduce myself. I haven't had a chance to meet you. I'm Travis.
Can you come over to the mic,
Oh, yeah,
Travis?
absolutely.
Thanks.
I'm Travis Heilman. I'm the district manager for waste management out here. Just wanted to speak on behalf of this. So this is my third district I've had. The past two districts, we've had composting on both sides of it. We're definitely here to help if there's any questions that we can help. We support it. We've seen it operate and I've seen it operate in other counties very successfully on both ends. So just wanted to introduce myself to you fine gentlemen. Haven't had a chance to meet you. Bob,
Nice
how are
to meet
you?
Good.
Melissa, hi.
Clearly, if you're
So-
calling us fine gentlemen, you don't know us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll get there, I guess.
Yeah. We'll get it beyond
Nice to
that.
meet you, Travis. Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye, motion passes. Thanks, Bob. Emergency management. You're back up
I'll
here.
just stay here.
I was gonna make you go down and sit down.
So-
and get back up.
So the attached MOU is between Bonner County and the Edgemere Grange, number 355, which agrees to work together to both secure and provide shelter and care for displaced citizens, emergency personnel affected by natural and man-made disasters.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, based on the information before us, I move to approve and sign the MOU between Bonner County and the Edgemere Grange 355 for shelter and care services during an emergency.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any question or comment? Yeah, there you go. Seeing none, thanks to both emergency management and Edgemere Grange. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, now you can sit down, Bob.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so our weekly experiment, Dave Shook, airports.
Testing 1, 2, testing
We're
1.
wow.
reading you loud. and clear.
Fantastic.
10-4, good buddies. Commissioners, thank you for the time this morning. I have 2 items for you.
Go ahead.
First one is the request to go out to bid for the 2021 runway repair project at Sandpoint Airport. This project consists of repaving, crack sealing, patching, and repainting the striping and runway identifying numbers at Sandpoint Airport. The estimated cost of the project is $500,000 and was included in the 2021 airport budget. I request that we go out to bid for this.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move that Bonner County go out to bid for the pavement projects.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any question or comment? Kevin?
Kevin Moore for the record, 500,000 for 2021. So is this what we would say is typical year to year that we're typically doing 500,000 for upkeeping?
No.
No?
This is a repaving.
No, not at all. In the budget, normally we have about $100,000 for maintenance of the pavement at the airport. And that covers crack sealing and seal coating of the acreage at the airport. Keep in mind, there's 26 acres of pavement at Sandpoint Airport. So what we try to do is select sections of it to repair in any given year with that $100,000 and then move to that next section. And we divide it up into 5 sections so that every 5th year or so, we are crack sealing and seal coating that same area, and that will keep our pavements in good condition. This is a major repair that has to be done to the runway because the runway pavement has failed. Actually, it failed 4 or 5 years ago, and we did a Band-Aid repair then with some money that SIR was able to grant to us. And that repair was supposed to get us to 2018 when the FAA would have rebuilt the runway with a couple million, or it's about $5 million to rebuild it entirely. Because of some of the considerations that have happened with the FAA budget and with the acquisition of land and easement that you guys have heard me talk about, those negotiations have pushed off the runway repair that the FAA will fund until at least 2024. The repair we did in 2014 was only supposed to get us to 2018. So here we are in 2021. That repair served great for the period it was supposed to do, and now it's starting to fail again. So we need to do another repair to get us to at least 24. The project that we're contemplating here and the repair that we're doing now should last, is scheduled to last 5 to 10 years. And the reason for that is because funding from the FAA for our runway repair, which, like I say, or rebuild, is about $5 million, is only subject to funds availability. So we could get to 2024 and they may not have that money available for us on our project. So it may be 25 or 26. So we want to do a repair this year that will potentially last for between 5 and 10 years. Hopefully we won't need to have it last that long, but that's one of the reasons it's so expensive.
Okay. Got it? Go ahead, Doug.
So, excuse me, this is an ITD grant. That would be Idaho Department of Transportation.
That's the next item.
That's the next item. Now, this is through the FAA.
This one is through the FAA, who I've never heard of having funds limitations.
This is,
Oh, just to clarify, the pavement project for this year is funded completely by Bonner County. There is no FAA money for the pavement repair for this year.
Yeah, this is the money we put in the budget last year.
Right. So at a certain point in pavement condition, the FAA has deemed it more practical to completely rebuild rather than repair. And our runway qualifies for rebuilding, but not for FAA funds for repairing. So we have to get it to that point where they will rebuild it. So there are 2 items today. One is the project that was approved in our budget last year, and we're just going out for the bid to do that work. And then the second item that I think you're referring to would be, we are requesting a grant from ITD to help offset some of those costs.
Okay, Maureen.
Maureen Patterson. So I'm wondering about this major repairs that failed 45 years ago. What caused that? And
Age.
how will it be different? I thought it was a failure.
Well,
Or just, it was so
asphalt
old.
fails after a certain period of time.
So asphalt starts degrading the minute you lay it. And this asphalt was laid before the repair in 2014, in 1988. And it was not maintained well since that time due to budget constraints or interest or understanding of pavement degradation. So in 2014, we had talked with the FAA about rebuilding the runway. And they said, yes, we'll do that in 2018. However, we needed to do a repair in order to keep the runway serviceable until 2018. That repair was not comprehensive repaving of the runway. It was a patching here and there and some crack sealing and some seal coating. Those repairs will only last a certain amount of time. 3 or 4 or 5 years was what we were asking that repair to do. It's well past that time frame now. So this is not unanticipated that the repairs that we did in 2020 would be in the poor condition that they are now. The repairs that we do this year will only last 5 to 10 years, and then they will need to be replaced as well. In that 5 to 10 year period, the FAA will come in and rebuild the entire runway. That rebuild will last up to 20 years and will cost about between $5 and $6 million. So we're doing a 10% Band-Aid to get us to that rebuild that the FAA will fund.
As long as we maintain it properly.
Yeah.
That's the key is the maintenance falls on Bonner County.
That's correct.
If we choose not to put the money into it, then we end up where we're at right now in an emergency type of repair situation.
Exactly. And we now have in place a program every year where we do standard maintenance on the pavement. You'll see in a line item in the airports, there's $100,000 for basically rehabilitation, which is the major rebuilding. And then there's $100,000 in each year for maintenance, which is the seal coating and crack sealing, which will keep the pavement from degrading quickly. Pavement degrades no matter what you do to it. As soon as you lay it, all you're doing is slowing that degradation. So at some point, 20 years down the road, after they've done this $5 million rebuild on our runway here this year, we're going to have to do it again. And the FAA, they're still around, if we're still around as an airport, will fund that. But they need us to maintain it. That's our responsibility, is to maintain it every year. And in the past, we've had budget considerations or commissions that were not that interested in the airport. And now we have a good understanding of the economic value of the airport and the resources to put into it to keep it maintained and keep it viable.
Hitting a hole in the pavement with an airplane is not the same reaction that you get when you hit it with your car.
Kevin Morthenreger. Yeah, a couple of things I want to throw out. Again, I'm ignorant on a lot of this airport stuff. It says Sandpoint Airport and Bonner County. We're dialoguing here. And you just used the word economic value. And so is the airport its own separate entity? Is Bonner County subsidized? Is Sandpoint subsidized? Do you stay in the black as per money coming in and money going out, or is it always subsidized by the county and or the city of Sandpoint?
Yes and no.
That's a good answer.
So it's
Yes
Bonner
and no.
County's airport located within Sandpoint city limits, but it's Bonner County property.
Sandpoint doesn't participate, but
No. We wish they did.
So then economically, do we break even every year, or?
It's hard to say. There's been studies that show that it brings in, what was one study, $30 billion or something in economic,
Dave can probably talk a little bit more to that.
Yeah, the last economic impact study that was done, which was last year, showed that the airport brings economic value or economic impact to the county of approximately $53 million per year.
million.
So yes, Bonner County does benefit from the airport.
Annually. You don't know.
53 million input, whatever. So what does it cost yearly to keep it functioning?
Our budget is about, it varies depending on the projects that we're doing, but it's between $500,000 and $600,000 a year.
And if you want to get into the, there's detail that obviously you can get through the budget, and that includes the income part of it.
You can go over and talk to Dave at the airport. He's got all that.
And there's a handout.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody would like to talk about the economics of the airport, I'm more than happy to.
Okay, Jim, you've got your hand up online.
Yeah, Dave covered what I was going to say, basically that the airport has a great economic impact to the area and is a gem and a quite valuable to the area. It's a wonderful airport to fly into, but yeah, Dave covered it. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Any other question or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, Dave, number 2.
Thank you, commissioners. This is number 2 is the grant application to Idaho Transportation Department for to assist in repairing the runway at Sandpoint Airport. The grant application is in the amount of $250,000, which was the cap that we learned about from ITD for an individual project. So this is very late breaking and it's unusual. I'm not sure where they got this supplemental funding, but they have some money that they can spend. So we're going to apply for this grant if you deem that appropriate.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move that Bonner County submit this grant application in amount of $250,000 to ITD.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any question or comment?
Yeah, more for the record. I did quite catch that. It sounded like Gray Lake. Great Lake, something about that funding.
No, there's a grant that ITD has made available, and he said he wasn't sure where the funds come from. I think it's coming from the tax reserve that they had this year of $250,000. So we're applying for a $250,000 grant to help offset the cost of the repair work. Any other question or comment? Go ahead, Doug.
Doug Patterson for the record. So we have budgeted the 500K, correct?
400 plus 100
400
that's
plus 100.
already in the budget.
There was 100 in there that we carry over from year to year. That's normal budget. So we have budgeted an additional 400.
Okay. So if you get the 250, that will be additional funds that will
Yeah,
get
we
used.
won't spend we'll only spend 250. And then the other 250, we'll write a check to everybody in Bonner County for. No, I'm just kidding. That won't happen.
It's on the record.
If we're successful with the grant application, if we are offered a grant and we do accept the grant, the commissioners can decide what they would do with those funds.
Yeah, this was a grant that just popped up. I think they had some additional money at the state, and so they're trying to get it out to the county. So we want to take advantage of it if we can. Okay, any other question or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Road and Bridge. Matt.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you, Uncle Dave.
That went pretty well.
Good, thanks.
Matt Mulder, staff engineer for the Road and Bridge Department, for the record. We are seeking approval to advertise for bids for the Bonner County Asphalt Projects 2021. This year, we're just going to be kind of lumping together most of our asphalt projects into one bid because they're a selection of smaller projects. The biggest one being new asphalt on a section of North Boyer Road from Bronx Road up to the first railroad crossing. We'll also be finishing out the asphalt on Woodland, on Woodland Drive, repairing some of the chronic landslide on Old Priest River Road, and some asphalt aprons on Mountain View Road off of Gooby and our Big Creek Bridge off of East River Road. We'll also get some asphalt aprons.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
All right, I move to approve this notice of advertisements for Bonner County Asphalt Projects 2021.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any question or comment?
Nothing.
Kevin? No,
Kevin
you're
Moore for the record.
ruminating over there.
So this is the end of June. It seems, is this typical timing or whatever to be putting out bids for doing some work for 2021?
It's getting later in the year, but this came in as unanticipated revenue from the state or federal surplus.
It's
for
a
infrastructure.
state surplus. So that with the surplus taxes, they took a certain amount of that money and they distributed through the same formula. It could be where some of that other ITD money's coming from for the airports too. I don't know, but.
So do we know what kind of amount we're talking here that they're offering?
Well, it was a total of $826,000.
It's not offering, we've got the money.
We have it. We have it in the bank.
We approved it, we approved bringing it in a couple weeks ago. You were here.
26,000.
Approximately.
Something like that, yeah. Okay, any other question or comment? Maureen, you got something? Go ahead.
Patterson, is that revenue increase from,
It's
people
increased revenue
moving
to the
in?
County, but not,
Yeah.
it's budget surplus, it's a tax surplus they had at the state level that they're distributing out to the counties.
we don't know, the trail of, okay.
That's at a higher level than we are. We're just a bunch of peon
Yep.
commissioners around here.
Okay, any other question or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Matt. Clerk, Mr. Rosedale.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Commissioners. Commissioners, before you, I have a resolution to get rid of some old election devices. Let me read this to you. Whereas Bonner County has the old ES&S ADA voting equipments on hand known as the Automarks. These ES&S Automarks became antiquated when we purchased the Hart Touch Writers with the HAVA grant funds nearly 5 years ago. And these ES&S Automarks have no known market value anymore. Basically, they're like old Commodore computers. They're just bricks of DOS run stuff. And so this motion is to basically dispose of those so we can help the Calvary Chapel building.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move to approve resolution 2021-52, authorizing the clerk to dispose of the old auto marks.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Question or comment?
Oh, really? Come on.
Yeah, can we send these to
Sucker.
Arizona?
Hey, I actually like that, right?
That was fun.
If you'll pay shipping, that's.
In
the problem.
Alabama?
They're
Kevin, you could drive this.
Mr. McDonald.
they're a liability right now. They're not an asset.
Any other question or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
And now the add item for recreation. Come on down.
Morning, everyone. Pete Hughes for the record. Today's item is a Resource Advisory Committee grant funds acceptance, the Gold Hill Overflow Parking. Attached is a federal financial assistance award of domestic grant 21 DG 110104000018. Upon acceptance of this agreement, Bonner County Parks and Waterways will receive $31,752 for the construction of the Gold Hill Overflow Parking project. We've been awarded the grant and now we just need to accept
Bring it
the
in.
funds.
Yep, all right, thanks, Pete.
All right, Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move to accept this agreement awarding Bonner County Parks and Waterways the amount of $31,752.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any question or comment?
Kevin Moore for the
Kevin
record.
Moore for the record.
So are we enlarging? Are we paving? What are we doing with the 31,000?
We're building the
Yeah.
parking garage.
We're paving a portion to expand the parking lot that's there now. So
But people have been parking on Bottle Bay Road, and if you know Bottle Bay Road is extremely narrow.
It's to widen to allow them to park on the.
And not a parking garage.
Not a parking garage.
Okay.
You can't build a parking garage for 31,000.
It would be a really
You
small
can't even
one.
pay for the plans to build a parking garage for 31,000.
400,000.
Okay, any other questions or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Pete. So it is 9:38, and we will go ahead and recess this meeting and come back in 5 minutes with our executive